Kale fumbled with the stack of envelopes, the corners of some bent, some glowing faintly with holographic seals that pulsed like tiny heartbeat rhythms. He had been running late all morning, which in his line of work, a freelance courier specializing in high-risk interstellar deliveries, was almost a death sentence. Or so he liked to tell himself as he muttered, maybe today won't be the day a plasma cannon greets me like a long-lost friend. He shoved the last envelope into his bag, ignoring the faint hum of the grav field generator on his back, which occasionally buzzed like a disgruntled wasp. The spaceport smelled of fried synth bacon and ozone, a combination Kale had begun to suspect was a universal aphrodisiac for chaos. He squeezed through a crowd of traders, smugglers, and aliens with heads shaped like inverted teapots, careful not to knock over a booth selling what appeared to be live nebula caterpillars. One of them hissed at him and he waved his hand apologetically. "You bite, I bite back metaphorically," he muttered, earning a few chuckles from nearby humans who clearly had nothing better to do with their lives than watch someone else almost die. Kale's biggest concern, however, wasn't the caterpillars or the teapot-headed aliens. It was the envelope in his hand, the one addressed to Queen Lyria of the Virelian Dominion. He had been tasked with delivering it personally, which sounded simple until he realized that he had no idea who Lyria was beyond the reputation that preceded her. Some said she had ears like the sails of a starship. Others whispered she could see thoughts before they formed. Kale, a man whose greatest talent was tripping over things that weren't there, had no intention of becoming a cautionary tale for alien historians. When he arrived at the palace docking bay, he almost tripped over a floating security drone that buzzed like a caffeinated hummingbird. The drone scanned him, its optical sensors whirring, then gave an approving chirp. Kale grinned, relief flooding him until he noticed that the approval came with a siren attached to its underbelly. "That's encouraging," he said aloud, stepping carefully onto the maglev platform that led into the palace. The doors slid open with a hiss, revealing an enormous chamber where light bent in odd angles, reflecting off crystalline walls like liquid prisms. Kale squinted. Somewhere in the center of the room, atop a platform that hovered a foot off the ground, stood Queen Lyria herself. She was tall, impossibly graceful, her skin pale but shimmering faintly, and her ears stretched long and elegant like twin silver ribbons catching the light. Kale blinked, and for a second he wondered if someone had added her to the holographic menu by mistake. "Human," Lyria's voice was a low musical note that vibrated in his chest. "You have my letter." What? Kale's mouth opened, closed, then opened again. Yes, I believe that's the one that isn't yours." He realized too late that his attempt at humor made him sound like a man trying to explain to a lion that he was only a salad delivery guy. Lyria's eyes narrowed, twin opals glowing faintly. "You are my lover," she demanded. Kale froze. His brain tried to compute the physics of this statement, failed, and defaulted to panic. "Well, I mean, I did write a letter once to someone I thought was a lover, but that was, 5 planets ago. And it wasn't you, probably, I think." The Queen's guard stiffened, their metallic joints creaking. Kale held up his hands. "I promise I am not romantically entangled with anyone in your court, not that I know of. Honestly, the last person I kissed was a vending machine, and it was mostly for the snacks." Somehow, this made the situation worse. Lyria tilted her head, ears twitching with irritation or maybe curiosity. "Explain." Kale shuffled forward. "Okay, here's the thing. You see, I deliver letters, lots of letters, I make mistakes. This one totally on me." He stopped when a guard advanced as if to remove him from the palace entirely. "Wait, no, I didn't even know your full name. Lyria is it your first name, last name? I usually just deal with the envelope." What? The Queen's lips curved in the faintest smile, a dangerous thing that made Kale sweat. "You are either bold or incredibly foolish, perhaps both." Kale decided bold was the safer assumption. Mostly foolish, definitely foolish. What? She stepped closer, the air between them humming faintly with some kind of energy field he didn't understand. "And yet you are here, unharmed." "I have excellent negotiating skills," Kale said. "Step 1, confuse everyone with a joke. Step 2, hope they find it amusing enough not to vaporize you. Step 3, run." Lyria arched an eyebrow, or at least, he thought it was an eyebrow. Her facial expressions were more sophisticated than human anatomy allowed. "I am inclined to believe that your running would be futile." Kale nodded solemnly, noted, "I'll add it to my survival checklist. Step 4, survive futile situations, got it." What? A silence fell, punctuated by the faint buzzing of drones and the occasional click of floating security panels. Then Lyria laughed, a sound like glass chimes dancing in a summer breeze across a spaceship hangar. Kale blinked. "Oh, that's good, right?" "Yes," she said, amusement lighting her features. You may proceed to explain how a simple courier has become, in the span of a heartbeat, the mistaken consort of the Virelian queen. Kale drew a deep breath. Well, it started with me oversleeping. Then I may have accidentally swapped letters. That's when I realized this envelope might be important. So I did what any sensible human would do. I walked straight in here and hoped for the best. What? Lyria tilted her head again, considering. And now you expect me to believe that you are not my lover, yet you stand here with the confidence of a man who has just delivered himself into a lion's den. Kale shrugged. Confidence is relative. To the lion I'm probably lunch. To me I'm lunch too, but maybe less so if you like jokes. The queen's laugh returned, louder this time, shaking the suspended lights overhead. Kale felt his knees weaken slightly. Good humor, she said. Perhaps it is the only thing that will keep you alive. Kale grinned nervously. I always said my career path would require a delicate balance of humor, charm, and sheer luck. Today, I'm testing all three. Lyria extended a hand, long fingers tipped with faintly glowing nails. Then follow me. Let us see if your humor can withstand palace protocol and my patience. What? Kale followed, aware that the next few minutes would determine whether he would leave this palace as a free human, a royal joke, or something far more complicated. Somewhere behind him, a drone muttered in binary that he was doomed, but Kale ignored it. Doomed, he muttered back, probably my favorite prediction so far. Kale stumbled after Lyria through the palace corridors, which seemed to shift subtly, as though the building itself was breathing, or perhaps laughing at him. Gravity pulsed unpredictably in some sections, making him feel as though he were walking through molasses 1 second and floating 2 feet off the ground the next. He clutched his bag tightly, already imagining the headlines in the human news feeds. Courier mistaken for Queen's secret lover, survives with sarcasm intact. Lyria glided beside him, her long ears twitching like twin antennae picking up some hidden signal in the air. You are remarkably unprepared for palace life, she observed, though her tone carried the faintest amusement, like she was teasing a particularly stubborn kitten. I am prepared for intergalactic traffic jams, anti-gravity mishaps, and highly caffeinated nebula caterpillars, Kale said, puffing out his chest. Palace protocol, not so much. She hummed, a low, vibrating sound that seemed to interact with the hallway's energy fields, causing the lights to flicker in a playful pattern. You may find that humor is a more effective tool here than brute survival instincts, or diplomacy, or anything else really. Kale grinned. Great, so basically my entire skill set is entirely useless, except for making people laugh. Got it. They turned a corner, and Kale nearly collided with a hovering table carrying trays of what looked like glowing, gelatinous pastries. One of the pastries drifted in the air like it had its own small gravity. Kale jabbed at it with a finger. Are these alive? They respond to taste receptors, Lyria said, her voice calm as if this were a normal conversation. If you attempt to bite one without proper calibration, it may retaliate. What? Kale laughed nervously and jabbed at it again. The pastry leapt like a startled fish, smacking him lightly on the forehead. Oh, okay, message received. I respect your snack security. What? The queen's laughter filled the corridor again, this time richer, almost musical. You are resilient, she said. I did not expect resilience in someone so human. Kale wiped a smear of glowing jelly from his temple. I have a lot of practice surviving, mostly minor embarrassments, but sometimes they escalate into life-threatening situations. Keeps things interesting. They entered a garden chamber where bioluminescent plants swayed in patterns that mirrored their movements. The floor rippled slightly beneath their feet, like liquid glass reflecting stars that weren't in the sky outside. Lyria gestured at the plants. This garden reacts to conversation and emotion. It is considered impolite to enter without expressing some curiosity or admiration. Kale squinted at a plant that looked suspiciously like a neon octopus trying to do yoga. Pretty, he said cautiously. I think it's very plant-like. A faint glow intensified around one of the tentacle-like branches. Lyria's long ears flicked. You must do better than that. Kale swallowed. Okay, extraordinary, magnificent, slightly terrifying but oddly comforting. How's that? The plant pulsed with bright approval. Lyria's lips curved in the faintest smirk. You learn quickly for someone so awkward. What? Kale relaxed slightly. I have to or I die. Humor is my life jacket. They walked further, passing crystalline statues that rotated slowly in midair, depicting moments in Virelian history that Kale could not possibly comprehend. One statue's eyes seemed to follow him. Kale waved nervously. Hi there, historical stalker. I promise I only accidentally entered your palace. No intentional offense intended. Lyria's laugh followed him down the hall. You speak too frailly, humans are strange creatures. Kale shrugged, we try, mostly we fail spectacularly. A sudden alarm sounded, high-pitched and melodic, like wind chimes on fast forward. A squad of hovering drones swarmed the hallway, scanning for unauthorized activity. Kale's stomach dropped. Oh no, is this like the please eject all humans moment? Merely a routine security test, Lyria said, eyes glinting. It is customary for couriers to participate. Kale swallowed. Participate how? Lyria's smirk turned into a mischievous grin. By surviving it, obviously, or entertaining it sufficiently to be ignored. What? Kale darted forward instinctively, dodging beams of scanning light that seemed to have a mind of their own. One of the drones zipped past him, and he reached out, catching it briefly before it zipped back like a hyperactive hummingbird. Gotcha, he yelled. No, wait, let go, okay, maybe not gotcha. Lyria followed with a grace that made Kale feel like a clumsy meteor drifting in her orbit. You have a curious way of navigating my palace, she said. Almost chaotic, yet strangely effective. Chaos is my middle name, Kale said. Well, not legally, but I claim it for occasions like this. The drones finally relented, and Kale collapsed onto a floating bench, panting. Lyria hovered beside him, her ears twitching as if amused by his exhaustion. You are absurdly unprepared for diplomacy, yet you manage it better than most trained envoys, she said. Kale laughed shakily. I call it improvisational diplomacy. I make stuff up as I go. So far, it's 50-50 between success and minor explosions. Today, I'm aiming for 51-49. What? Lyria tilted her head, eyes glinting with amusement. Your survival instincts are unconventional, and yet you have made me laugh more than anyone has in decades. Kale blinked. Really, I thought awkward humor was a universal red flag. What? You underestimate humans, she said, and perhaps you underestimate yourself. Kale grinned, leaning back as the bench hovered gently upward. I'll try not to underestimate myself then. Though judging by today, I might need a manual for palace etiquette titled, How Not to Die While Pretending to Be a Lover of a Queen You Mistakenly Offended. Lyria laughed again, a soft musical sound that reverberated through the garden. Perhaps if such a manual existed, you would write it. Kale shook his head, trying not to trip over his own legs as he floated slightly in the gravity-altered chamber. Write it, oh no. I'd probably end up accidentally insulting the editor and triggering a minor interstellar incident. Better to live through it first. The Queen's eyes softened. And survive you have. Perhaps there is more to this human than mere folly. What? Kale rubbed his forehead. Let's hope more folly isn't required. I'm running low on energy drinks, sarcasm, and basic life skills. Lyria extended her hand, and Kale took it hesitantly. A warmth spread through him, an unspoken acknowledgement that somehow through all this chaos, humor, and improbable circumstance, he had gained a rare kind of respect. Come, she said, there is more to show you. More lessons in survival, diplomacy, and if you are lucky, controlled chaos. Kale nodded, gripping her hand tightly, knowing that what awaited would be dangerous, absurd, and impossibly entertaining. I was born ready, he muttered. Or at least born to make bad jokes while trying not to die. Lyria's smile hinted that she already knew the odds were heavily against him, but she was curious enough to let him continue anyway. Together they drifted deeper into the palace, a human and a queen, bound by a letter, a misunderstanding, and the unpredictable humor that somehow kept both of them alive. Kale barely had time to catch his breath before another alarm sounded, this one more melodious and insistent, like a xylophone on high caffeine. Drones spiraled through the hallway, scanning, beeping, and occasionally tripping over each other in what Kale could only interpret as a combination of efficiency and slapstick. Ah, he muttered, the palace decided it needs a final exam. Great, I was hoping for snacks and maybe a nap. Lyria glided beside him, her long ears flicking rhythmically as if conducting some invisible orchestra. Do not panic, she said, though the corner of her mouth betrayed amusement. It is merely a test of your adaptability and perhaps your humor. Kale eyed the drones. Adaptability, right, I can improvise, I can joke. I can probably trip over something and survive, mostly. Before he could elaborate, one of the drones zeroed in on him, projecting a holographic net that expanded like a collapsing star. Kale dove sideways, narrowly avoiding entanglement, and accidentally grabbed the Queen's hand in the process. A lucky grab, he said, twisting in midair like a poorly piloted satellite. Lyria's ears twitched, and for a moment Kale thought she might scold him, but she didn't. Instead, she laughed, a sound like liquid crystal tinkling in zero gravity. You are remarkably chaotic, she said, and remarkably effective. What? Kale grinned, floating precariously in a corridor where the floor pulsed like liquid mercury. I call it art, performance art. It's very popular in mostly private human circles, but trust me, it's a hit. What? They navigated through corridors where the walls subtly shifted, projecting past Virelian history in holographic vignettes, battles, alliances, celebrations, and betrayals. Kale tried not to gawk too obviously. So all your ancestors are basically ghosts that lecture people. That's intense. They are memories, Lyria corrected, and they observe silently, sometimes they judge. Kale nodded solemnly. Well, I hope they appreciate sarcasm. I can't imagine it translating well across species. Eventually, they reached the observatory, a circular chamber suspended above a glittering nebula. Stars stretched like ribbons and planets rotated lazily below, illuminated by distant suns. Kale collapsed onto a floating bench, exhausted, exhilarated, and slightly terrified. Wow, fancy place, he said, gesturing vaguely at the cosmic view. I assume all the interstellar royalty have observatories like this, or just you. What? Lyria floated beside him, hands clasped. Few have the discipline to maintain one, many prefer distractions. You human are a distraction of a different kind, unpredictable, disruptive, amusing. Kale blinked. Amusing is my brand. Disruptive, sometimes unintentional, though. You have survived my palace, my tests, my humor, Lyria said, and yet you remain unbroken. Perhaps you are more than I first assumed. Kale's chest tightened slightly. I think I've learned a lot today, he admitted. Like aliens really do have long ears, and that sarcasm is sometimes the key to survival, and maybe I can handle things I thought I couldn't. Lyria's ears twitched thoughtfully. You have changed, not merely in skill, but in perspective. You see the palace not as a prison, but as a stage for ingenuity. Kale grinned wryly. I'm like a one-man cosmic comedy troupe, dangerous but entertaining. What? She laughed again, then leaned closer, and for a brief moment Kale could see vulnerability in her luminous eyes. I thought I needed perfection, order, control, yet you have reminded me that life, even in the court of a queen, can benefit from chaos, laughter, and unexpected connection. What? Kale swallowed. I guess mistakes aren't always bad. Sometimes they lead to interesting places or people. Lyria tilted her head, ears brushing against the holographic projections around them. Perhaps, human, your mistakes have done more than survive palace protocol. They have survived me. Kale chuckled nervously. I'll take that as a compliment, though I'm not sure if I'm supposed to bow, salute, or start a parade. What? You may remain sighted, Lyria said, and you may stay. Kale blinked. Stay here with you. Yes, she said simply. Mistaken or not, you have brought something unexpected to my life, something human. What? Kale's mind raced, imagining the absurdity of his journey. From an ordinary courier tripping through a bustling spaceport to a man mistaken for the queen's lover, to surviving palace drones, hovering gardens, and animated pastries, all while somehow earning the queen's respect and affection. He realized he had grown in ways he had never anticipated, bravery measured in small steps, wit sharpened by danger, and courage tempered with humor. So, you're saying there's a chance, he said, half joking, half serious. Lyria's smile deepened. Perhaps, and if you are willing, you may help me navigate this palace and my life with honesty, humor, and unpredictable courage. Kale grinned, letting himself relax for the first time that day. Well, Your Majesty, I think I can handle that, though I should warn you I'm highly prone to making mistakes. Also, I snore in zero gravity, and occasionally trip over floating tea sets. What? Lyria laughed, a warm, melodic sound that reverberated across the observatory. Then you are